everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on October 22nd, 2014. And well, this Impact Wrestling mainly focused around two separate things. One was the Bobby Roode, Bobby Lashely contract sign for the world title match the next week, and the #1 contendership for the tag team titles, which they were doing via a tag team title tournament. There was two other little storylines two other little separate storylines going in there outside of the intertwining storylines during the tag team title tournament. Those two storylines was Bram continuing to call himself the King of Hardcore and going off and facing hardcore legends in hardcore matches. And they continue that this week with him versus Devon, and that match actually came off as an okay match. It wasn't anything special. Then again, it's a hardcore match, and it's a lot easier to make those look a little bit better when you're just using weapons the entire throughout most of that match. So that match actually came off as fairly decent. And then they also had continuation with the whole Havoc storyline, and they had her come out and attack Rebel before she was supposed to have a match with Angelina Love, which prompted Gail Kim to return back out there. And obviously they couldn't finish that storyline where they were at after their match from weeks ago. They needed to at least do some kind of follow-up between the two of them, and it's good that they're actually going to go off and do that follow-up, and we'll see where they actually go with that as well. Now, with the tag team title tournament, honestly, I like it when the wrestling organizations will do some kind of tournament to name a #1 contender or something in that sense. Because if you're looking at the tag team title situation, they just got off this series storyline with Team 3D and the Hardys and the Wolves, which was a fun series, great story to go along with it with all three teams. Now you have nothing for the Wolves, and you need something to garner importance towards the tag team titles. Now having the teams go up against each other in a tournament throws immediate importance towards those tag titles, because each team, like the winner, has to go through 3 matches to get a tag team title shot, and then eventually that title shot will happen. And it gives it a little bit more meaning behind it versus just kind of having a #1 contendership match, because you don't have another real feud in a tag team sense to go after the tag team titles. You have no one else feuding with the Wolves at the time, so this is a good way to get some importance behind a team and then put importance behind the tag team titles, and throwing some of the bigger names in there like Samoa Joe and the Hardys and Mr. Anderson, MVP, and all of them. That's also another good way to put some good importance behind the tag team titles. And I liked how they stuck with in the tag team areas. Maybe not necessarily traditional tag teams, but you had the subsequent storylines behind them. Like you had the Chris Melendez with the MVP and Kenny King storyline going in there. You had Rockstar Spud with Ethan Carter and Tyrus in there, along with Eric Young. So you had things like that, and those were nice little touches that they put into the first round of the tag title tournament. So honestly, they just come off a lot better, and I still emphasize this point. One of the reasons why I still watch TNA Impact Wrestling is how Ethan Carter III is. He's just a great character. I like how he interacts with the crowd when they say you can't wrestle, and he kind of just goes along with it and trying to change their minds. These are subtle nuances to the character I actually like to see, and it makes it more entertaining to watch. And this brings to the pretty much the last portion of the show, which was the Bobby Lashley, Bobby Roode contract signing for their world title match the next week. The promo by Bobby Roode was great. Again, Bobby Roode's always been really good on the mic over these last so many years, and it's just great to see that he's continuing to progress that. He comes off as a very passionate, intense face. He's not like your typical baby face that is like, oh, all I want to do is the good things. He's coming off as very passionate towards what he wants, which is the world title, and he did it again here, and I really liked where they went with it. Kurt Angle naming himself the special referee. They were kind of hyping up something big, and then it's just kind of Kurt Angle as the special guest referee. You kind of wanted them to announce it to be like a cage match or something in that sense. Something a little bit bigger and give it a little bit more importance, though. You know, having Kurt as the special referee does add a little bit more importance, but they could have gone with something a lot bigger in that sense. But I'll be looking forward to watching the second match between Lashely and Roode the next week. So overall, this week's Impact actually is a really good Impact. They did a good job of gaining importance towards the tag team titles and getting a new opponent for the Wolves with the tag team title tournament. You have continuation between guys like Rockstar Spud and Ethan Carter III and Chris Melendez and MVP and Kenny King, also with Gail Kim and Rebel. You had a backstage segment with James Storm and one of the Wolves in there, and maybe he's going to try to bring one of them into his new faction, which is almost like a Wyatt family type faction right now. It's kind of weird to say that, but that's how it's kind of coming off. I mean, he does it a little bit differently because when the Wyatt family came in, they were already together. He's bringing these people together, so you're kind of seeing the beginnings of everything with all of them. So this week's Impact did a really good job of continuing storylines and garnering importance towards their title matches here in the near future, and hopefully they can continue this onward into the future with some of their other tapings that they've already done. So this is my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling, and I thank you guys for watching.